If there is a God side and the other side, if there are moral things and things that are immoral, if there is this side or that side, it can't be left up to thought process. I'm an enforcer on this side.
Katt Williams didn't just toss a casual jab into the gossip wind. He walked onto that stage, leaned into the mic, and sent shockwaves through the room. With his trademark razor-edge delivery, he hinted that Michelle Obama, the former First Lady herself, had been stepping out, not with another man, but with women. It was the kind of line that made the crowd pause, unsure if they'd heard him right, and then erupt half in laughter, half in disbelief. We know Katt's style. When he drops something like this, it's rarely random. This is a man who's built his career on pulling receipts out of thin air and making them land like thunder. And in this case, his words didn't just rattle the air, they chipped at the golden image of America's most admired political marriage.
I'm one of the chosen high-ranked, know-the-dirt individuals, right? And so dirt responds as they should when the vacuum walks in.
Come on, are you a rapper? You rap on the side?
He has a reputation for going where others won't, unearthing Hollywood and Washington whispers and planting them squarely in the public ear. Remember, this is the same Katt Williams who's been warning for years that big names with spotless reputations often have private worlds they pray never see daylight. So when he leaned into this claim about Michelle's alleged romantic ties to women, it didn't feel like another throwaway punchline. It felt like the opening note in a song that's about to take over the airwaves. The question, hanging heavy between every word, was simple. If Katt knows something, how much longer before everyone else does?
Keep going high is not losing the urgency or the passion or the rage, especially when you are justified in it. Going high means finding the purpose in your rage. You know, rage without reason, without a plan, without direction is just more rage.
For more than a decade, Michelle Obama has stood as a modern icon of grace, intellect, and loyalty. The kind of public figure whose image seemed untouchable. Family-first speeches, picture-perfect appearances, the unshakable support of her husband. It's the brand she's built. But if there's truth behind Katt's hint, the carefully curated portrait may hide a far messier reality. Could the woman who once called her marriage a true partnership have been living a double life? And if so, how long has Barack known, and what has he chosen to ignore? Katt's cryptic tone left no timeline, no names, just enough for us to feel the edges of a story too explosive to dismiss. Then, the whispers started to circle back to a specific location, an alleged love nest in California. Not a public venue, not the kind of place you'd accidentally stumble into, but a private retreat said to be tucked away far from DC cameras and political obligations. Sources claim Michelle has been spotted there more than once, always under the radar, never in a way that could be tied to official work or charity visits. The mystery deepens when you consider who she's supposedly meeting there. Women whose identities are carefully shielded, the kind of friends you won't see on her Instagram feed or standing beside her at gala events. If the rumors are to be believed, this isn't just an occasional escape. It's a second chapter being written in total secrecy.
When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them.
It's impossible to ignore the eerie echoes of another infamous moment. Joan Rivers' street-side comments in 2014 when she flatly declared that Barack was homosexual and Michelle was transgendered. Following it with a breezy, we all know, at the time, the remarks were dismissed by many as just Joan being Joan, provocative for a laugh. But weeks later, Joan's sudden passing under unusual medical circumstances only fueled conspiracy theories. In certain corners of the internet, those dots have been connected so many times they've practically formed their own mythology. And now, with Katt stirring the pot, those old theories are being pulled right back into the spotlight.
Shannon Sharpe says he's temporarily stepping away from ESPN in the wake of a $50 million lawsuit accusing him of rape. A woman filed suit against Sharpe on Sunday, accusing him of raping her twice.
This isn't just about alleged romance, it's about timing. Michelle's absence from high-profile events has been noticed. She skipped former President Jimmy Carter's funeral. She skipped Donald Trump's inauguration alongside her husband. Each no-show is chalked up to scheduling conflicts or distaste for the political theater. But in a gossip climate already primed for speculation, every empty seat becomes another question mark. Meghan McCain, of all people, has publicly said she's been told by very serious journalists that Barack and Michelle are not just in a rough patch, they might be living separate lives. It's the kind of claim that, even without proof, snowballs in the public imagination. And then there's the Hollywood connection. For months, the tabloids have been pushing another angle entirely, Barack being linked to Jennifer Aniston, the Friends star who's weathered her own share of public love life drama. That story has been officially denied by both camps, with Jennifer herself laughing it off in an interview, saying she's met him once and knows Michelle more than him. But whether true or not, the fact that such a rumor gained traction at the same time Katt Williams is hinting about Michelle's personal life makes the entire narrative feel like a slow-motion car crash. Each piece of gossip colliding with the next until the wreck is too big to ignore.
So the truth about Jen and Barack is that there is no truth.
There is
it
no
is
truth.
Untrue. You know Barack Obama.
I've met him once.
Met him once.
I know Michelle more than him.
What is there a truth about you and Michelle that we should know?
That is not true.
The California retreat rumor won't let go either. One insider describes it as a property where privacy is absolute, with enough distance from prying neighbors that visitors can come and go without drawing attention. If Michelle really is spending time there with certain companions, it would explain why those closest to the Obamas are keeping their public responses tight and unemotional. Barack's recent birthday post to Michelle, a photo of the two holding hands across the dinner table, captioned with a simple love you, was meant to project unity. But to some it felt more like a performance. The lighting, the awkward composition, the formality of the words, all of it picked apart online, as if it were a coded message rather than a casual celebration. We've seen this pattern before. In political marriages, image is currency, and both parties have a vested interest in keeping that image intact for as long as possible, regardless of what's happening behind closed doors. Which is why Katt Williams' timing matters. He didn't just air this suggestion on a random Tuesday. He did it in a year already ripe with revelations and crumbling reputations. A year he's predicted would catch up to all the big names. If his track record is anything to go by, his words have a way of finding validation in the weeks or months that follow. And that's what keeps people leaning in, waiting for the next piece to drop.
According to reports, that video will not be released. Attorney Tony Busby came out and said that they are not planning to release that video how they were dropping audio because it's a very strong point of their evidence in this case, and they're going to keep it and use it as such.
Court.
Yeah. Now, that is interesting because Shannon Sharp, remember, he kept saying he believes the video was going to come out. He believes the video was going to come out. So there's been a change.
When we combine Katt's provocative hint with the mounting speculation, the absences, the rumored hideaway, the recycled Joan Rivers theory, the Hollywood distractions, we're left with a picture that's anything but stable. And yet, it's also a picture that no one in the Obama camp seems willing to touch directly. Silence is a choice, and in the world of high-profile scandals, it's often the loudest choice of all. The quiet only amplifies the questions. What's really happening inside one of America's most famous marriages? And how much of it are we about to find out?
Tony Busby says this is key evidence in our case against Mr. Sharp, so it will not be coming out. He will not be leaking this.
And saying basically it's going to come out during the trial.
Right.
If there's a trial.
If there's a trial, it will come out, which to me sounds like he's still dangling it over Shannon's head to say, we can meet, we can settle this, or we can go forward into a trial, and then the video is going to come out.
Joan Rivers had been in the spotlight for decades, fearless with a microphone and quick to torch anyone in her path. But in July of 2014, she made a sidewalk remark that landed with a strange weight, the kind of weight that doesn't fade away. Asked whether America would ever see its first homosexual president or first female president, she didn't hesitate. We already have it with Obama. You know, Michelle is a She laughed, walked away, and seemed utterly unfazed by the shock on the reporter's face. Just weeks later, she went in for what was supposed to be a routine throat procedure in New York. Something went wrong, her vitals dropped, and she never truly recovered. The official reports cite a chain of medical missteps, but in the rumor circuit, those two events, the comments and the timing of her passing, have been fused together into something more sinister. Was it an unlucky coincidence, or was Joan's final punchline the kind of truth certain people didn't want on record? The theory never really went away. It sat in the digital shadows, resurfacing whenever the Obamas found themselves back in the gossip stream. With Katt Williams now stirring similar waters, the parallels are too tempting for some to ignore. Joan called out the most untouchable couple in politics and was gone within a month. Katt is now doing the same in an era when social media magnifies every syllable. And with Michelle already facing a swirl of whispers about private California getaways, the specter of Joan's fate looms like a cautionary tale.
Not to add insult to injury, but there's a Daily Mail report out today saying Kamala Harris's marriage may be on the rocks. Like everybody's on the rocks. Again, I will say I love the Daily Mail, but the sourcing appeared weak. It was like people who know the couple, but like I don't know if it's any better than that. But they're saying she's blaming him in part for her loss because he turned out to be such a hot mess liability. You buy it?
If Michelle's name has been running laps in the gossip columns, Barack's hasn't been far behind. His image as the forever faithful husband has been tested by a different kind of storyline: Hollywood proximity. Over the past year, Jennifer Aniston's name has popped up in connection with him more than once, thanks to a tabloid cover that framed her as a wedge in the Obama marriage. On camera, she dismissed it outright, pointing out she's met him just once. But the very fact that a magazine was willing to splash that pairing across a front page tells us how far the speculation has spread. In the celebrity politics crossover game, proximity plus timing is all it takes to plant a seed.
The rocks. The question now isn't if, but when. If I had to guess, they will wait until after the inauguration to announce it. Timing, is everything. And yet the story doesn't end there. For months, I've heard Jennifer Aniston's name tied to Barack. At first, it seemed ridiculous, but the rumors have remained steady among New York.
What makes it more intriguing is how the Aniston rumor collided with the ongoing narrative of Michelle's separate life. If one half of the couple is allegedly seeking connection outside the marriage, and the other half is rumored to be doing the same, albeit in entirely different circles, then the questions shift from "is it true?" to "how long has this been happening and what's holding them together now?" In political branding, a marriage can be as much a strategic alliance as it is a personal commitment. If that alliance has quietly shifted from romantic to transactional, the public may be the last to know. Life inside the kind of spotlight the Obamas inhabit isn't just bright, it's blinding. Every gesture, every facial expression, every glance is dissected by millions. Over years, that kind of constant scrutiny can hollow out the natural rhythms of a marriage, replacing intimacy with performance. Even private moments risk becoming rehearsed, curated for the ever-present possibility of a camera. What begins as shared purpose can slowly turn into a carefully managed joint brand, where the business of being Barack and Michelle eclipses the reality of being husband and wife.
She is not sorry.
They are looking forward. All the women in your life are looking forward.
All the women in my life are looking forward to being able to live a more normal life.
Yeah, but still not entirely normal. Obviously, everybody's under the microscope at all times.
A little bit more.
And you're staying in Washington, D.C., which is unusual for an exiting president.
We often romanticize power couples, imagining them as immune to the mundane strains that fracture ordinary relationships. But in truth, the stakes are even higher for those at the top. The need to preserve the perfect image means arguments aren't simply arguments, they're potential headlines. Disagreements about career paths, lifestyle, or time apart become battles fought under the fear of public discovery. For two people with fiercely independent identities, the compromises required to maintain their joint narrative could easily erode the personal space they once found comfort in. By the time such a relationship begins to drift, the ability to repair it in private is nearly gone. The house is never truly empty. Aides, advisors, and friends hover, each with their own loyalties and agendas. Where other couples might use solitude to find each other again, the Obamas have lived in a reality where solitude is a luxury rarely granted. If they have indeed moved into separate lives, it may be less about betrayal and more about survival, creating distance as a way to preserve civility in public. The tragedy lies in the possibility that they became captives of the image they built. The love story that once propelled them into the hearts of millions may have grown too heavy to carry when it became everyone's property. If the spotlight demanded that they remain symbols of hope and unity, then any deviation from that script could feel like a betrayal, not just to each other, but to the public that believed in them. In that sense, the strain wasn't just marital, it was existential, tied to the very roles they played on the world stage. Were they simply victims of their own success, trapped in a narrative so tightly woven that it left no room for their personal truths? It's a haunting thought, especially when we consider how many leaders, entertainers, and public figures have faced the same quiet unraveling behind polished smiles. For the Obamas, the pressures of legacy may have outweighed the freedom to live authentically, leaving them to navigate the twilight between public perfection and private reality.
Don't do that. I mean, look, they all have their smartphones and they're texting with their friends. They're doing all the stuff that teenagers are doing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Michelle and I try to emphasize to them that they don't want to be
in the
on
news.
TMZ.
Yeah, right.
And then there's the unspoken rule in these situations. Control the optics at all costs. That might explain the carefully staged photos, the warm but restrained captions, the public birthday messages that read more like press releases than private affection. Every public handhold, every dinner table pose becomes part of the script. The more curated the moments, the more we wonder what's being left off camera. Michelle's continued absence from certain key events, whether framed as politics fatigue or scheduling conflicts, only fuels the divide between the image and the whispers. For those who follow these threads closely, the convergence of Katt Williams' bold hint, the reanimated Joan Rivers theory, and the Hollywood angle feels like more than random noise. We're looking at overlapping stories that, taken together, paint a picture of a marriage under pressures we're not supposed to see. Pressures from public life, from private choices, from the kind of attention that never fades even after the White House years are over. It's that tension between what's shown and what's speculated that keeps this story alive long after most political gossip burns out.
Jennifer Aniston, it was her circle of friends there allegedly discussing this. I mean, we don't know, but
that's how you know it's true.
Is it so hard to believe?
When a woman tells another woman, yeah, you can tell me, I'll keep a secret, the phone's already out. Now it's about to hit a group chat. So that is, to me, the most conclusive piece of evidence.
If history tells us anything, it's that power couples rarely collapse without warning. There are always signals, always moments that only make sense in hindsight. Are we watching those moments now with the Obamas? Or are we just projecting cracks onto a surface we've been told is flawless? Katt Williams might believe he's just telling truths the rest of us aren't ready to hear. But if his track record holds, the next few months could bring more than just punchlines. They could bring the kind of revelations that make even the most loyal supporters rethink what they thought they knew. So here's the question that lingers long after the lights go down. If even the Obamas, the picture-perfect emblem of unity, success, and love, are caught up in a storm of scandal and speculation, what does that say about the truth behind power? And if Katt Williams is right, what else is sitting just beyond the edge of the spotlight, waiting to be exposed? Tell us what you believe is really happening behind the scenes. And until next time, keep your eyes open and your ears sharper.